I believe we're on now. Good evening, everybody. It's the Truth Serum. I'm back again. We're going to try a couple things out, trying to get into a little music and things like that. And of course, there's copyright issues and things like that. But I faced everything so far. So at least the channel's up. Thank you for the new subscribers that come in here. Watch the old videos. You'll get the whole history on a lot of stuff that goes on here. So get a smoke, get a coffee, get a tea, get a soda. Come hang out with the Truth Serum. I drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, I tell stories. We're gonna go down um, just a little information. Most of you know my godfather was an enforcer for the Colombo family, and we were very close. And the music, this immigrant song, um, I was down in New York and I was with my godfather, and I always had tapes and cassettes and 8 tracks and everything else. And we'd be together and I would play stuff. And I had played this immigrant song, and he was well read, very, very intelligent. He wasn't just some stupid Guido that just was going out making hits on people. He was very, very highly educated, well read, high IQ, and very, very strategic, and very, very. If you're gonna be in that position, you got to be very observant. You got to be, you got to be observant and everything. And I was thinking, I wonder how my godfather does he know about Led Zeppelin? Did he hear about Led Zeppelin or stuff like that? And I think I had a cassette or a vinyl or something. I do have a brain injury, but we were in the kitchen, and I said, I'm gonna. He didn't really know. I figured he would have known Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin. I figured he would have known like Stairway to Heaven or something like that. But I was thinking, what song would thinking that he's very just he's very chilled guy, but he has all this power and evil inside of him. And I figured the immigrant song. So let's check out this immigrant song. I gotta stop it because I break these copyright infringement these rules. Forgive me, YouTube, but this is the said song uh, that I wanted to check out and pick his brain. So um, I got to stop it after 10 seconds. But just watch how this introduction, you just go from 0 to 100. That just takes you from A to Z in 6 seconds. The hammer of the gods. He he was listening to this, and it caught him by surprise. This high energy, it caught him by surprise, and then he was listening. The hammer of the gods. Now here is an assassin. Here is a murderous killer, and I'm trying to psychologically see how he interprets it, and what he has to say. So the introduction caught him, but but he's very observant and he heard the hammer of the gods, but he wants to know what the song, he's going to figure out and interpret what the song is about and all that kind of stuff. But um, so I got some other things I want to add in there too. So so the guy, there's a, now you hear this primal scream, and I asked him, because God forgive me, God, I didn't do it, but he would torture people. He would torture people. So I had said to him, when you just heard that primal scream from Robert Plant, I says, does that sound familiar? And he was like, oh, don't be funny or whatever, you know. And he was like, um, continue on. He was getting into it because this takes you from 0 to 100 so fast, and it's sensory overload, and he wants to be on top of it, and and he so I continued to play it. Hammer of the gods. Now, he likes it when they said, he liked it when they said, we are your overlords, because he felt, uh, God forgive me, and I love him. He's my God. He was my godfather. God rest his soul. But when analyzing him, he, like Robert Plant is saying, we're the overlords. You have control of everything. And when you have the control to just take somebody's life, and and just for whatever reason, that he started getting really interested in Led Zeppelin. And I had played Bam Bam Bam, Dazed and Confused, and it was really dark and everything, and he loved it. And then I turned him on to Stairway to Heaven, and he was like, these songs sound so different. And then I says, well, then he used to joke later on, uh, you know uh after decades, he said, yeah, I had to put him on the Stairway to Heaven, but this was when before he passed away, before he died, and we would talk, and he used to use Stairway to Heaven as a reference to when, talking about somebody that maybe he took out. I says, well, what happened? What happened? Well, Jojo, he had to take the old Stairway to Heaven. I was like, let's change the subject. Okay. What's going on, Damon and Sal? Yeah. Wow, you guys got to see them, Led Zeppelin. And yeah. And the primal scream, um, that was in here, like wah, um, he was having dreams when he would hear what well, sometimes he liked to use a blowtorch, like a welding whatever torch, and torture you for something. And if the person you're torturing doesn't give you what you want, then they're going to be tortured before they pass away. And they're not going to torture you on your arm. They're going to torture you. He is going to torture on a sensitive part of your body, and we don't. I mean, you know what I mean. So I know he was hearing these screams, these primal screams that only Robert Plant could do, and geez, holy cow. Whispering Tales of Thor. I mean, this Led Zeppelin, like they're aliens or something. They know the secret magic. Led Zeppelin knows the secrets. Holy cow. Man, they know the secret. They know the messages. How do you write songs like this? What inspires a person to write with lyrics like this? The Immigrant song, yeah, where? Well, they were immigrants. Where? Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin were immigrants from outer space or something. They're from the overlords of Thor. I had to pick my godfather up another time, and he says, "Hey, we had coffee or something," and he said, "I want to hear some more of that Led Zeppelin." And I says, "You didn't you know in the late '60s and '70s you knew about?" He goes, "I wasn't busy with music. He wasn't really a music connoisseur or anything." And me thinking everybody on planet Earth knows that Led Zeppelin is like the king of everything, and uh, he just was recognizing the power of like the vocals and the drums and the guitar, and he was bewildered, but it was fascinating, and some of the more darker songs he wouldn't say nothing, he wouldn't say anything. I think he had take he was a hit man, and he tried to separate himself outside of um he tried to disassociate himself with, okay, he does what he does, that's his job, and then separate himself from that, and then just be a regular guy, and but how can you separate yourself when you have that? You can't erase you can't erase your mind out of it. And um and I was playing different Zeppelin songs, and these songs were reminding him of different events in his past. Not like he had maybe PTSD or something, but if there's a band that can really stimulate your mind and thinking and your heart rate and all of that, that you know he yeah, and that Dazed and Confused was dark. That Dazed and Confused was dark. Well, I gotta get Zeppelin in the picture. But yeah. Then I had, way back, the Police came out, with Ghost in the Machine. Maybe some of you folks don't know the group called the Police, and I like some of the songs on there, and I wanted to play it, and he was like, "I don't listen." I said, just because it was the group was named the Police. He's like, I was like, no, there's some good songs on here. He's like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to entertain uh, the Police. He's so anti-police, so anti. Well, that's for obvious reasons. I was like, geez, hey Erica, how are you? Oh, now you guys are watching. It's Uncle Jojo doing his thing and checking out some Led Zeppelin. So my godfather, he was torn. He was trying to, in psychology, you would say, disassociate yourself from past events. You know, it's PG, no swearing here, no swearing. We'll keep it PG. I've been censored and thrown off and everything else, and that I'm lucky I'm on. Yep, I'm gonna come visit soon. I love you all. I love you all. Come on in, jump in. The water's fine. So I used to try to pick his brain, and we were together a lot, but Led Zeppelin, just as well as anybody else. Um, I had other friends back in the day of color, black, Puerto Rican, Irish, Italian, and uh, whatever music was out. But I would say, hey, you want to check out Led Zeppelin? Well, no, Joe, I don't want to hear none of that, because anybody just thinks Led Zeppelin is just hardcore rock and roll, and no, I don't like that genre of music. No, that's not for me. I don't like that genre of music. So people will just dismiss it for whatever reasons. But I had a friend. That uh I turned on Led Zeppelin. I can't remember what song it was because I got brain damage, if you haven't noticed yet. But he heard one song. And back then we used to hear hip hop. I liked all types of music, but a lot of my friends, yeah, I grew up listening to soul music. I grew up listening to rock and roll. I grew up listening to country music, Johnny Cash, even, so I liked whatever kind of music just sounded good. I was open. I'm open to any kind of music if it sounds good. So I experienced a lot of different music, but I would try to get whatever friends uh, to hear Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones. Well, what do you think about this? Oh no, Jojo, I don't like rock and roll. Well, just check it out. I was open to uh, listening to all the soul music. You know, I was open to listening to all that music, and I might not have thought I might like, but I wanted to uh, at least give it a chance. In life, of course, we have our preferences, and we just say, well, I just like this or that. But expand your horizons, and sometimes you might have some kind of preconception or different thoughts for whatever reasons, and you'll never experience anything, not only music but anything in life. Don't just don't stay in a cozy little lane. Get out there. And yeah, I used to get these mob guys to hear Zeppelin. Now a couple guys knew music, they knew music and everything, and I was at this mob club, and um I had back then they had boom boxes. They had the boom box, the cassette player with a radio on it, and all that. And I brung it up there on a slow day. The club is where like the gangsters hang out and do their strategies, and it's a restaurant too. It's a restaurant, public restaurant, open for business, but in the back it's a club. It's a club for those the mob guy, the crew. And sometimes uh I'd bring the box in and say, and they'd be like, "Wow, that's different, Joe. That's different." I said, "It's Led Zeppelin. How do you not know Led Zeppelin?" "Well, I think I heard about them or whatever." Wow, and turn them on to it. And next thing you know, they're out buying every damn album Led Zeppelin had. So yeah. Hey, Schna, Mike wants to do a live stream. Well, my channel is back on. I was shadow banned. They, you know, they they stripped me of everything. I kept the ship going. So now at least I'm on the menu. So, I like to do it. It's a hobby. And, I just keep the ship going. I just keep the show on the road. So yeah. Good to see you. Mm. You know who I'm talking to right now, folks? You know who I'm talking to? Yeah. Don't worry about me. What a beautiful picture. Mhm. Oh boy. Life is good, folks. We all got our things, or do a channel, this and that. But I tell you one thing, you get older, you go through life, stay in touch with your family. Those are the best precious jewels. Those are the greatest rewards. That's better than 20,000 in a bank account. Why am I saying that? Because I'm broke? Also, oh yeah, the portal party. I know. We'll get there. We'll get there. I got brain damage. I can't remember half of it. Honestly, I'm just trying to play it off. So yeah. I played uh I did Led Zeppelin. Then I was with this one guy. As far as this crew is concerned, there's 5 or 6 guys. I used to drive them around. I was the driver, and they would go to bars or other scrupulous places with cheating on their wives, and I was a driver and everything. And there was a handful guys, and I used to make money. They used to pay me real good. They used to pay me real good. I know I gotta quit smoking, Erica, while I take another drag. And uh so there's 5, 7 guys, and then maybe you never really get close to where you think they're your friends. Like, well, we're buddies. We're buddies. You don't make that mistake that we're really buddies, because you're not. Oh, well, we go to the racetrack. We go here. We go there. We hang out. We talk. We tell jokes. Wow, we're buddies, just like we're buddies going back to first grade. Nah, you're not. But I turned him on to the Rolling Stones. I don't want this one guy, cool dude, cool dude. God rest his soul. And uh, he liked uh, the Sympathy for the Devil, and he liked that because he thought that he felt like the lyrics for that song, Sympathy for the Devil, because the devil is the one that's singing the song. The lyrics are, the devil is singing it, and the devil is talking smack during the song on what he did at this time and what he did at this time. So this gangster, he liked it because he felt like the devil. And I was thinking, I probably shouldn't have let him hear that song, because I got to hang out with him tonight, and he's going to be drunk again, and I don't want to say the wrong thing because I made a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Mike Tadaro, how's it going, Mike? Sal didn't expect to find you here. Love to see little Joe Monty going big time. This is not big time. I'm still alive, bro. Little Joe Monty going big time. Always knew You always knew I was a natural in front of the camera. Mike, man, good to see you, buddy. Wow. Time flies, man. Time flies. Tell everybody I said hello. Everybody, we're alive. We're all doing good. Life is great. Life is great. Mike, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. I wonder what happened to the Casertas. Well, that's another story. You get older, you wonder what happened to a lot of these people. We're all older. A whole lifetime has passed. There's children, there's relationships, there's vocations. What happens? Then you turn around, you're 62 years old, and you're going, in retrospect, wow, this and that. I've been blessed my whole life. I mean, I've been blessed, whatever. Just because I'm not wealthy and things like that, just let me have what I have and keep jamming away. That's good. That's good for me. So I'm a happy camper. See some old friends, good for the soul, Bob Seger. So yeah. My godfather, I turned him on to Led Zeppelin, and I knew that was gonna wreck his brain. I knew the Immigrant song was gonna wreck his brain, but he really was listening to the overlords, because in the mafia they have the captains and the bosses, and in the song they go, "We are your overlords." But my godfather, he wasn't in a made family. He was a gun for hire, mostly with the Colombo family, but he would go to Genovese if the price was right or things like that. But he liked the authority that Led Zeppelin came demonstrated, the authority, the power of Robert Plant, the power of those drums, John Bonham, the power of that guitar. Power represents power, acknowledges power. You know, it's a weird analogy, but it, to just say, well, gangsters, of course, a plumber can listen to any kind of music, a janitor can listen to any kind of music, an accountant can like any kind of music, but me, I'm just a little immature, thinking, how would a gangster uh interpret this music, like it or dislike it? Well, they're just a regular, they do that, they're part of a fraternity, but they could still think the same way as other people. But I thought it'd just be interesting to see how some of these guys, you know, that are a different segment of society, they're like a subculture of society. And then do they recognize good music? Of course they recognize good music. I was just a little nutty in the head, but and then see, and then ask them, why do you like that song? What about this? Well, yeah, it's got a good beat, good rhythm, good hook, blah, 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 this or that. But Led Zeppelin, the gangsters, like the words. The gangsters were gravitating and recognizing uh power and authority, which Led Zeppelin plays so many different types of songs, lyrics and beats and things like that. But uh yeah, that's yeah. Gibby, Joe, remember when Dave Gibson had those fireworks and blew his hands off, and you just ran into him at the Turning Stone the other week? Hey, he owes me money, man. Gibby, Gibby, he owes me money. I won't say for what reason. Yeah, he blew us. He seemed like he was. He seemed like he. Well, I ain't gonna say nothing, Mike. Gibby. He blew half his hand off. He blew his head off in a storm. Wow. That guy should not have a. That guy should not. Yeah. Oh, he owes everybody money. Wow. No disrespect, but it's the kind of guy that you can't even holler at. God bless him. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to go down this little Led Zeppelin rabbit hole. And I just like to look at things that uh just human behavior, human psychology, and just see what is what with some people. But uh my godfather was reserved, but and he didn't say a lot of words, and but he would just say a few words, but they were so impactful. It's all he needed to say. He was really really smart, and and he he started listening to Zeppelin all the time. And I had asked him as an older age. Now, I was never in any conspiracy that nobody was telling me when they were doing any hit. Nobody. I did not have rank. I didn't have nothing. I was just a little runner, errand boy. I am not a gangster. I'm not a gangster. I was just an errand boy, a run around errand boy, whatever, and that. And so I might have said some things on uh speak in code. Speak in code. You don't have to say what you're doing. Speak in code. I might just say some suggestions to speak in code because the FBI is listening to everything everybody's saying. So speak in code. So I developed a code system. Milk and bread, the game, get the tickets to the game, milk and bread, when I used to have to deliver the milk and bread. So I spoke in code, and they would be in my car. Oh, Jojo, well, this is the way I communicate. This is the way I communicate. That's that. You better learn the code. That's all there is to it. And the old man, the boss, he liked to speak in code. I introduced the vernacular. uh, oh, he had a stroke. Yeah, good guy. So I was speaking in code, and I would tell my godfather certain things. Um, I did never conspired. I never conspired to do a hit or anything like that. I would never be even able to talk about that kind of stuff around those guys. But with my godfather, just shooting the breeze and stuff, I just might say, if somebody wanted to do a perfect crime, maybe a violent crime, well, why wouldn't you do it like this? Now, that I didn't know if there was a hit or something like that, but I would just say, why wouldn't you just, a clean hit that will go unsolved? So I would just try to, just for laughs, I didn't have to instruct him on how to get away with a hit. But out of my curiosity and just behave personality, I would just say, well, sometimes even stupid things like stab somebody with a ice with a big icicle, like some stupid, like, a big sharp icicle, and you plow it through their heart, and then the icicle melts, and there's no murder weapon, something stupid like that. But uh that's silly. But when people think like just the Joe public, when people think they get a contract to do a hit. All right, all right, Johnny No Nose, you got a hit, Johnny. You got a hit over here, and you're gonna go hit uh uh you know Johnny One Ear, whatever, whatever, some stupid name. So people just think, oh, so the next time you see this guy, you're just gonna go black. There is um there is so much planning and preparation that goes behind a hit. There's more time surveilling a target. What time does he go to the gym? He likes that coffee shop over there. He likes that Italian import place over there. The guy has a routine. Well, then you figure, what's the best environment? Where will he be? Where's the best spot environment to go unnoticed? So much time was planned on surveilling the target, and a lot of times these guys had whores. They were cheating on their wife. Um, they were with strippers, and they would separate from their crew, and they would be out into the wee hours of the morning with a mistress, and then their guard is down. Now their guard is down. And when you check out that routine, and then you surveil, and then the best time to go unnoticed with no witnesses. And back then they didn't have cameras on the telephone poles. Back then everybody's asleep in bed. You got a silencer, nobody hears anything. Joe, did you see Steve Will Do It mentioned you in a recent live stream? He's aware of your channel. Steve Will Do It. I've been trying. Well, Erica, as you well know, he's my brother's neighbor in Florida. Oh my God, Joe, do you know? No, I don't. I tried to reach out to Mary Beth and Big Steve. I'm off of Facebook now, but I don't know. I mentioned Steve Will Do It because of the guy is such a kind-hearted soul. He's such a good-spirited guy that well, Erica, as you know, Jimmy's been around them all that time. I when I was visiting Jimmy in Florida, Steve was little. He was little with the brother. I can't remember the brother. Yeah, so they were little. Steve Will Do It. Then he got the YouTube, and he blew up. But as far as eating 4 pizzas in 10 minutes or drinking 12 beers in 5 minutes, as far as all that great content, Steve was just such a generous guy to help the people out. That just him and Rocco, him and his brother Rocco, they were little at the time, and they used to come to the ranch before they were neighbors. Erica, they were neighbors right there, two houses apart. And then my brother went down the street. And got a big ranch, equestrian center ranch, and then but they would still visit. So when I was at the ranch, Mary Beth and Big Steve would come over and hang out, but the kids were little. And then all of a sudden, years later, Steve Will Do It, eating 18 slices of pizza in one. But I started watching little Steve, or Steve Will Do It. I started watching him, but of course he was doing really wild stuff, but he was helping out people. So Big Steve and Mary Beth raised him so good that didn't all go to his head. It didn't all go to his head. He don't think he's better than anybody. What a cool dude. Yeah, you see all the fluff. You see all that. Anyone else here because of the Steve Will Do shout out? Steve Will Do It, shout me out. Did you actually witness it out of his lips? Because there's so many phony stations out there, there's so many phony stations out there, but the, I don't know because I'm kind of an eccentric guy, and I'm not going to swear anymore on here, and I told crazy mob stories, stuff like that, but maybe they, I'm just a minor my I'm not a dangerous guy. I'm not a violent guy. I might get animated once in a while, but uh I don't want, maybe he said, well, I don't want to give that truth serum a shout out because the truth serum says, you know, that you don't want to associate with that. But I'm so glad that he didn't judge me like that because he's just a good dude. Chester the Cheese Man. Yeah, he mentioned you on a live stream and told people to subscribe to my channel. Well, thank you, Steve. We'll do it. God bless you and your beautiful family. And I appreciate that. Took you 4 years, but I appreciate that. We got to stop smoking these cigarettes, Steve. I thought he was going to quit. I thought he was going to quit. Well, that's nice. Steve interviewed the president. Go Trump, go Trump, go Trump. Steve will do it. You might have been with the president, but are you ready? Donald Trump hair. Donald Trump hair. Oh boy. Oh boy. We got a real big show, a real big show. Look at, how the people come on YouTube, they got the headset on. Where are they going with the headset? They got the headset on, yeah, and they got the mic up there, here's my microphone. Yeah, yeah. I got this from the Salvation Army, American Idol mic, just for effects. We got a real big show, real big show. First guest, Steve will do it. Yeah, really. Well, God bless Steve and his beautiful family. And that's cool. Well, thank you. It was a big shout out. I subscribed. I got 5 people in here right now. I'm moving on up, Steve. You got 5 in here for me. You're gonna have to do a little better than that. Then the next thing you know, Steve won't do it. We're gonna have to change the name. Steve won't do it. But that's just to show you folks. I try to inspire and motivate, and maybe I'm a little crazy at times, but at the end of the day, he started his channel and he kept going and going and going, and he didn't give up. When you keep looking at that subscriber ticker and it doesn't go, well, his ticker was moving up very rapidly, as you're very well aware of, but his ticker was moving at a rapid pace. My ticker was going pretty good until I went overboard, and then I got shut down. So I'm going to behave. We're going to do some music. Maybe we'll tell another gangster story or whatever. But the gangster stuff is nothing to be proud of. Like, they're just regular people. There could be violent people anywhere. Oh, the Colombo family, the Gambino family. Well, whatever. It ain't no badge of honor. It's better to be nice, like Steve will do it. Now, he's doing things that were nice, helping homeless people out on the street. Now that's currency. That's what life is all about. Steve was going to the downtrodden. When you see people that just go from doing whatever and then they skyrocket, boom, 1 million subscribers, this and that. Some people could get a little arrogant and a little la-di-da and want to be like the Carringtons. No, Steve stayed level. He stayed level. And what did he do after that? He he started going and helping those mothers with them children and hooking them up and getting hobos off the street and giving them a chance to get their life back together, giving them a start so they could get their ID together and they could go. So that's what's impressive to me. Now, Steve used to do all these feats of eating and stuff, and he could eat 18 eggs and all that. Yeah, that is very impressive, Steve. That Steve did that. He did eating these feats, these unbelievable things of eating and wild pranks and all that. But what I found very impressive about Steve was how he looked after and had a heart for those people in the streets. That was more impressive to me. You could tell a lot about a person. Yeah, you could rock and roll with diamonds and rings, and I got this watch, I got that, I got this car, I got that. Yeah, I'm the king of the world. Look at me. My name is Steve. I'm the king of the world. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ba ba ba. I'm with Dana White or Joe Rogan. I don't know. But ba ba ba. Yeah, I'm the king. I'm the king. Ba ba ba. Yeah, you could act like that, like a heathen, or you could be chilled and go the other way and have a heart. Man, that dude is that is parenting. That is a reflection of parenting. How'd my show get off, Erica? How'd my show get over there like that? Oh wow. Well, Steve must have been at Jimmy's house. How does he know I'm on? How does he know I have a channel? I've been kicked off of Facebook by that Zuckerberg, that bum. I'm kicked off of Facebook forever because of that Zuckerberg, because of the election. So I can't even talk to Mary Beth anymore. So yeah, so that's a little Led Zeppelin, folks. That's a little gangster. My Godfather, my Godfather. I used to like to bounce music off of him because he was a Renaissance man. Now you just might think that there's a mafia hitman that's just a stupid guy. I don't know, like you might perceive somebody like that. You might perceive like a mafia hitman as just some stupid Guido. Oh gee, dad, go kill this guy. I'm gonna go shoot him in the back of his head. No, he 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 was for hire for the different families, and he wasn't in one said crime family. He did a lot of work for the Colombos, but he was a man of thinking. His thinking apparatus and his IQ is what kept him alive. So you can't come half stepping. You just can't come half stepping, tiptoe through the tulip. No, it's a chess game. You always got to be 5 moves ahead. What if? It's the what if game. It's the what if game. Now, I said some things around some of these psychopaths, and I wasn't a made guy. I didn't take a blood oath. I just wanted to drive people around and hustle and take them here, and then once in a while deliver the bread and milk around New York State and New York City, and that's it. But so I didn't become a member of the mob because you got to go hustle money and give it to the boss. No, I want to make my own money. So you'd have to hustle money and then hand it up, they would say. Hand it up to the captain or the underboss or the consigliere or something. But you're out there, you're risking your life, you're risking going to prison. And then when you're done with all that, you get the money and then you got to hand it up to some other guy. Nah, no. So I wouldn't want to be a made man anyways. I'm very well educated on the dean's list, very educated in many subjects, but I wasn't just going to turn and join that fraternity. But if you don't join that fraternity, there's certain things you can't say. You can't say talk some smack. Well, I wasn't a brave guy. I was younger, but I had to learn quick that I couldn't say some things. I would have got killed. I made a couple mistakes And my godfather, Mickey, had to get me out of it and says, no, nobody's going to touch Jojo. Nobody's going to touch him. You guys keep messing with him. You keep messing with him and messing with him. And he's just trying to stick up for yourself. Sel Tadaro, you were always well respected, Joe. Made men or not, you handled yourself with class. Thank you, Mr. Tadaro. Thank you. It's survival. But it wasn't just a treacherous thing all the time. There was a lot of laughs. So whatever your vision is of the mafia world, whatever you see movies, you see this and that, 90% of the time was just fun time, going to the races, driving people around here or there. I used to work the card games, huge card games. And, so it was fun, but then of course there's a flip side of it, but it is what it is. We went from Led Zeppelin. We went from Led Zeppelin to Steve Will Do It to the Mafia. And I don't want, me and I'm not a gangster or nothing. I'm just an old man. I'll be 62 in a couple of weeks. I'm just an old man. I don't do any crimes. I'm sitting in this little small town, rotting away. And yeah, I gotta come to Florida, Erica. I gotta go see you. I want to see Mary Beth. And I want to shake Steve's hand. That the angel that Steve is, and how he helped all them damn people out, because that's impressive. Humanistically speaking, that's impressive. He has good parenting. And of course, yeah, well, it just goes without saying, but that's that. I thought I was going to do a 12-minute video, but yeah, this is the last smoke I'm going to smoke, H. Well, Sal, we're not supposed to talk about that. Those card games could get nasty. Ever hear the story of the guy who got urinated on? Yes, I was there. Should we go down that rabbit hole? Why not? I was very well educated, straight A's, the dean list, and everything else. And I met a friend of mine at the track, and he owned a steel brokerage, and he was part of a huge gambling ring with the Colombo family. And there's a dark, perverted side of I was outside, Sal. I was outside, but people would owe money. People would owe money. And a lot of times they didn't want to get violent, because these guys, they paid and they paid and they paid. And sometimes they want to make a statement. And there were some bad actors that owed some bigger money that my godfather wanted to smash out. He wanted to smash them right out and say enough's enough, but whatever. But what they would do, I went to the office. I went to the office, and the guys were all in there. They're drinking gallons of water. I'm going, what are you guys consuming all this water for? Back then, when water wasn't even like people today are always walking around with water. They're all sitting there drinking gallons of water. And there was a gas station, an old gas station, where, when they'd work on your car and there'd be a hole down there. Well, they would humiliate a person and get four guys on one side, four guys on another side, drink all this water, and then they put the guy down there. You know where the mechanics would look up? The mechanics, well, there's a bay, and there's where you could stand in the ground. And then they drink all that water. And I was like, you guys are some sick puppies. You guys are sick. Well, he wanted me to. And I was like, nah, you know, I like getting tips and running around and bringing these guys around here or there, but I'm not gonna get into that, you know. And my godfather wasn't into that. He didn't play in those reindeer games. He didn't get involved in that silliness. But the guy from the office, God rest his soul, he had he had like a weirded out mind. He had a weird mind, a kinky weird thing. And there's other stuff that I won't even there's no value to me. There's no value of it. I'm not going to get more views. I'm not going to get, tell you some really whacked out, sick story like that. I'm a little crazy, but I'm not stupid, yeah. Led Zeppelin and the Mafia listened to Led Zeppelin. Wow. And the Rolling Stones. I used to, in the kitchen of the mob club, in the kitchen of that mob club, like they had a boom, like there was a boom box, a boom box. You put cassettes back in there. Now I'm dating myself, of course. I'm dating myself. Hey, you want to go out on a date? No, I don't even want to date myself. I'm dating myself. And I used to put this rock and roll in there, and people would be coming in and out of the kitchen, and then Sam, the old man, the boss, and he'd say, "What do you got there, Joe? What do you got there?" I'd go, "This is the Rolling Stones, This isn't Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett. This is Led Zeppelin. This is a guy named Robert Plant." Here's a old boss, 70 years old, and I'm trying to turn him on to Led Zeppelin. And he'd say, "Very interesting, very interesting." And I'd say, "Yeah, wait till you hear this one. Wait till you hear this one." And then finally, he said, "Get that out of here. We're trying to work there. Get that stuff out of here. I'll slap you. You bring that in here again." But he was a good sport for a while, until he was like, "I don't give two craps about Robert Plant or John Bonham or Jimmy Page, JoJo. I'm trying to run a business here. You want these customers out there eating their dinner, listening to this stuff? Come on." Nothing, Erica. We're just talking about the old club. And I used to try to put the music on in the kitchen of the mob club. Was a restaurant. The mob club was a restaurant. It was a restaurant called Sam's Place. It was called Sam's Place. And I would try to put blast music from the boombox from the kitchen, and they would get aggy. They'd get aggravated. He put up with it for a while, and then he was like, "You don't bring that in here anymore. I'll smash you. Don't be bringing that in here." I was just trying to see how they react. So there you have it. Thank you, Steve. We'll do it. Thank you. I appreciate you giving me a shout out. They turned my channel back on, and I'm not on the algorithm that much. I got to 1,000 subscribers pretty good. And then I started talking about politics and this and that, and then boom, they shut me down for a long time. But I'm back up and running, and it's a hobby, kill some time, and that's that. So I appreciate that, Steve, if you actually really did that, if it actually came out of your mouth, because That's what they say here. That's what they say. They heard it here. So I appreciate it. That's all in good faith. Stay great and everything else like that. Maybe sometime I'll get down there when I visit Jimmy and Haitian and we could see that. I could say hello 30 years later. Or geez, you must have been 5. What's up, New York Jets? Happy Thursday. Led Zeppelin. We checked out the Immigrant song. We were listening to this. Wow. That'd be a good introduction. Like if this show was technical and I had you know, I knew how to utilize to have a good production. Now, if I had the tools for a good production, I'm a better talk show host than anybody out there on any and in any field of knowledge. I do this on the seat of my pants because I'm a natural, of course. But this would be the introduction to my show. This would be a good introduction to start the show. I just wanted to do that one time. I just want to do that one time. So yeah, there you have it. The Immigrant song. My godfather. It really introduced him to this Led Zeppelin. Now, folks, I had a brain injury. I um I know about these groups, and I did ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, telephone line, and living thing. Now I know. See, my mind was erased. My mind was erased, and I had to relearn everything when I was on life support for a year. So I had to relearn everything. But I know of ELO, and I knew this, but I couldn't tell you how it happened. The neurotransmitters in my brain and the receptors, sometimes they can recognize a memory, sometimes it can't, So, hey, Shapeski, how you been, Shapeski? Yes, Joe, I can verify Steve will do it. Did mention you. Well, thank you, Shapeski. Thank you, Steve. We'll do it. So the neurotransmitters, I it I ruined my life, folks. I ruined my life, brain injury, blah, 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 you know. And read the book. Read the book. It's a ham sandwich. The link is in the description. I don't even try to sell anything on here. I'm broke. But I I want to hear so I can hear a whole lot of love, Led Zeppelin. I want to hear I'm going to do a video and I'm going to listen to a whole lot of love. I don't know how it goes. See, I remember how this Immigrant song went, but other times it's blank. My mind was totally erased. When I came out of it, I didn't know what a man was. I didn't know what a woman was. I didn't know how old I was. I didn't know anything. I didn't have no reference. I had no schema of knowledge on any type of information. My mind was a blank box. So I could dig in and see recognize different things and go, oh yeah, I can remember that and have a reference point. But sometimes it's blank. So I want to read I want to do a reaction because I screwed up and with a brain injury, and there's no plus side to that. But I'm thinking about some of these rock and roll, some of these groups and things like that. Well, I get to check them out for the first time again. Yeah, I knew how these songs went when I was a teenager. I knew how these songs went when I was in my 20s and 30s, but now there's Led Zeppelin songs that you could say, oh, here's a song. Oh, I know how that song goes. But there's other ones that you say the song. So I'm gonna do that one, Whole Lot of Love, Zeppelin, maybe tomorrow, and just keep the show on the road, So no, I ain't telling that story right now. No, I ain't telling it. Mm. I got a brain injury, Debbie. I forgot it. See, case in point, I forgot the porta potty story. I forgot the porta potty story. Okay, I'm trying to play it off. I'm trying to play it off. I forgot it. I got a brain damage. I have a real high IQ, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yeah, Black Dog, D nuts, where you been? Where you been? These nuts. Hey, what kind of channel name is that? Think you're slick? Think you're slick? Huh? Yeah, the Immigrant song, High Energy. So, like, Sympathy for the Devil from the Rolling Stones. Yeah, my brain damage, my mind says, yeah, I know how that goes. I know how that song goes, but I don't know how Angie goes. I do not know how. I don't have a clue uh, of how Angie goes. So that's the brain is very malleable, boys and girls. The brain is malleable. It has plasticity to it, and it's neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters can fire to the receptors, and you can revisit a memory, or it might not. 9 times out of 10, it ain't firing. So that's how it goes. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. My show's already in the shitter, folks. Now you want me to tell a porta potty story? My show is already in the shitter. And I gotta even tell a porta potty story? Unedited, uncensored, but I'm not gonna swear anymore because I'm gonna try to keep the channel going. Look at my lighting and this and that, But if I ever had a studio and I had all the bells and whistles, I'd already have 1 million subscribers if they didn't shut me down. I would already, I got to be confident. I got to be confident. There's no shot of me telling the porta potty story because I forgot it. Don't you know I'm telling you about a brain injury over here? I forgot it. We're talking about Mickey, my godfather, that was listening to Led Zeppelin. Okay. And the power and authority, like a hitman has power and authority, and then he hears music that he can relate to by the lyrics and the experts on the instruments, which I found fascinating. And he would say, "What do you got from that Led Zeppelin?" I said, I says, "Mickey, what you do with that guy? You took him to the Stairway to Heaven." One of their biggest songs was Led Zeppelin's biggest songs was Stairway to Heaven. And I'd say, "What happened?" This is when he was a lot older. "What happened? Did he take a walk? Did he take the stairs to heaven on the Stairway to Heaven?" And he'd say, "Oh, shut up, blah blah blah." Psh, 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 psh. You talk too much, homeboy. You talk too much. You never shut up. Last cigarette of the night. So that's that. I want to try to hear Angie because I think I know how to sympathy for the devil. I'm going to try to do Angie reaction. I don't. You know what? We'll do another mob story, even though it's no badge of honor. It is no badge of honor. I try to be a good Christian, and I'm speaking about the dead. And it, I got a feeling it just wasn't cool anymore. It ain't cool to try to get views and subscribers based on the tragedies of these fallen people. And people love mafia stories, but it's a flip side to it where I don't say first and last names. I've never said first and last names. No. Mm-mm. No. No. Even when the guy got out of prison and we were talking on the phone, I never said his last name. And he's doing all right. I don't care about mentioning these guys' names and everything. Those people did life in prison or they got killed. There's to try to get subs. Yeah, I did there's very interesting. I mean, people, the appetite just in general to hear mafia stories, just human psychology and society loves to hear this subculture, this subculture of society and the mafia and this fascinating secret world of the mafia. Yes, I understand. It's very interesting. It's very fascinating. I understand that. And on the flip side of it is, though, it's like, where's my channel going anyways? I keep pumping out and everything like that. But we'll do some more, maybe one or twice a week. We'll do a couple more. We'll do that. So that's it. I'm gonna go watch the baseball game. Everybody, thank you, Deb. Thank you, Hayes. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Chester the Cheese Man. D, thank you. Shapesky, thank you. The New York Jets, thank you. Sal Tadaro, Mike Tadaro. Yeah, the Casertas, thank you, Casertas. Thank you, everybody. And Damon Walker. Okay, we tell this tough stuff, and we are interested, and we like to be entertained. Kurt Cobain, here we are now, entertain us. Yes, we like to be entertained, but we all have to grow up. We all have to live our lives. We want to be in good mental health. We want to have a good spirit. We want to grow and have fulfilling, happy lives. So we have to keep that in mind at all times. We could get crazy, tell stories about this and that, but people have their regular lives they have to live. So stay in good mental health. Don't go off to drugs and alcohol and all these crutches and everything else. Talk to somebody. You gotta have the best quality of life. So there's so many things. There's so much temptation out there that you can't resist. So just try to be aware. Just be aware, because life is short. Life is short. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So don't think because you're 30 years old, just don't think because you're 25 years old that you got another 60 years to live. No. Nobody knows when the time is up. So be aware of these things early so you could have a high quality of life. You could laugh. The best thing in life is laughing. If you can't laugh, you can't live. All right? I should be getting paid for this stuff, man. I should really be getting paid for this. Thank you just by watching. Hit the thumbs up. Do whatever you gotta do. It's my channeling rising up, but I'm content with it. I'm happy for the people I have, and I'm not pissed off for the people I don't have. My people I have is priceless. So, folks, be happy for what you got. Don't be pissed off for what you don't have. Okay? You got up this morning. You got a shot. You got a shot. Stay on your game. Stay on your game. Stay focused. The world is a vampire. It wants that blood. The world is a vampire. It wants your blood. The devil don't take any days off. Lucifer does not take any days off. So be aware. Be aware of all the traps. Be aware of the false faces. Be aware of the deception. Be aware of the get-overs. Be aware. They want your soul. They want your spirit. They want your blood. So be aware, folks. Be aware and have a high quality of life. It doesn't mean cars and houses. It means your mental wealth, your mental health. I knew wealthy people. They never laughed. They're miserable. And hobos that enjoyed life more than millionaires. Hobos enjoy life more than millionaires. Yes, we want the conveniences of filet mignon. We want fancy cars and fancy houses. Yes, I can use a little bit of that myself, but I'm still content that I got a bike. I got a bike. I don't have a car. I got a bike. But thank you, God, for my bike. My legs are getting a little stronger, but they're sore as hell. So be aware for what you have. The friends and the closeness in the family you have, be thankful. Be aware, because there's always somebody doing worse. So keep the head on straight. Keep everything in focus. So that's that. Thank you. And thank you, Steve Will Do It. I don't know if Steve Will Do It or Steve. It feels weird about calling him Steve Will Do It. That's just Steve. But Steve, if you watched it, well, thank you. And keep up that good work over there. And someday I want to shake your hand. And out of society that just would like to say, thank you, Steve, for what the heart you have, that other people that would like to help people, you're a surrogate. You know, I used to help the hobos on the street, but that's a surrogate for the people that want to, that he helped, you know. So forget about YouTube, forget about whatever and all that, but just like humanistically speaking, you know, thank you on behalf of the world and the universe. Thank you, Steve. Steve Will Do It for rocking and rolling like that. That's a sign of intelligence and a good heart. So that's that. I think I got all my thank yous in already. So thank you, everybody. There's a link in the description. Does anybody read out there? I wrote one of the best books on planet Earth, but Steve, if you want to give a shout out, shout my book out. Shout my book out, because it looks like I'm down to bologna sandwiches over here. All right. Give my book a shout out. Unless you want to read it first. Read it first before you give it a shout out. And then I'm going to write another book, and then you could help on that, and then we'll get paid. All right. I'll show you how to triple your assets. All right. It's always the broke guy that knows how to make all the money, right? All right, folks. God bless. Be the kings and queens of your world. Don't give up. The world is a vampire. It wants your blood. Put your spiritual armor up. Keep your mind and spirit and body and soul. Keep it aware. Keep it on high alert. And then we could have fun in life, and we could laugh. We could rock and roll. We could hear some good music. I might not even do a shot of liquor once in a while. All right. So that's as risky as I get. So thank you, folks. God bless you all. Hit the notification. Hit the notification so you get notified, because I come on in all kinds of screwy times. But we'll do another mob story with some music, because my neurotransmitters just fired, and I remember a story that I forgot for 40 years. So thanks a lot, folks. God bless.